Carl Jung once said that being born is not enough. We must be reborn again and again throughout life. This rebirth does not happen randomly or without meaning. Rather, it unfolds through deep internal processes that gradually reshape the way we perceive ourselves and the world around us. Often, these transformations take place without us being fully aware of them, at least not right away. Jung spoke of something he called individuation, the journey through which a person sheds what was imposed upon them by society, culture, or upbringing to reconnect with their true essence. This process of inner rebirth doesn't occur just once. It happens many times at various stages of our existence. Each time it does, it brings with it profound shifts that might initially seem confusing, disorienting, or even painful. There comes a moment when something inside you begins to change. You can't pinpoint exactly when it started, but you can feel it. It's subtle, like a whisper echoing from deep inside, reminding you that you're no longer the person you once were, but you're not yet who you're meant to become either. It's an odd sensation, like standing between two worlds, the familiar past and the uncertain future. You look in the mirror and see the same face, but something underneath is shifting. It's not visible, yet it's undeniably present. Your thoughts, your emotions, your perspective, they're all being quietly, steadily transformed. This is the beginning of a spiritual rebirth, a deep, often solitary process that takes place just before life offers you a new and unexpected path. One of the first signs of this internal transformation is resistance and emotional exhaustion. It's not that you don't want things to shift. In fact, a part of you knows that change is essential, but another part clings tightly to what's known and familiar. Your mind begins to find excuses, trying to keep you anchored in your current reality. Even though you feel it no longer serves you, you might start justifying situations that deep down you know have become toxic or stagnant. Relationships that once nurtured you now feel draining. Habits that once comforted you now seem meaningless. A routine that once offered structure now feels like a prison, and though you try to ignore it, the discomfort only grows. You start feeling a strange kind of tiredness, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally too. It's as if you're carrying an invisible weight that grows heavier each day. What once excited you no longer brings joy. Conversations that once sparked your interest now feel hollow and forced. Deep within, you begin to question everything. Are you truly living the life you want, or merely the life you thought you were supposed to live? But here's the crucial truth. This inner weariness is not a sign that something is broken inside you. On the contrary, it's the first indication that something within you is awakening. The version of yourself that once fit so neatly into your current life is beginning to fall apart. Not because you failed, but because you're evolving. And although the uncertainty that comes with change can make you doubt everything, this is the moment where you must trust the process the most. This kind of transformation doesn't happen overnight. It begins quietly in the background of your everyday life with small signals like the discomfort you feel in places where you once felt at ease, and the growing sense that something just doesn't sit right anymore. These subtle signs build up slowly until eventually they can't be ignored. What once made you feel secure now brings unease. You may find yourself inexplicably drained by environments that used to energize you. Conversations that once felt natural now seem forced or even unbearable. And the strangest part is that you can't quite explain why. You might begin to feel like you're trapped between two versions of yourself, who you've been and who you're becoming. The life you've known still exists, but it no longer fits. A new path seems to be calling, but it's still unclear and undefined. There are moments when you feel a deep urge to make drastic changes, yet at the same time, fear grips you. This internal tug of war can take a toll not just on your emotions, but on your body as well. You may start to experience unexplained fatigue, disrupted sleep, mood swings, or moments of deep introspection. You may feel distant from the people around you, not because of conflict, but because something inside of you no longer resonates with them the way it once did. Even your perception of time begins to shift. Days might drag on endlessly or pass in the blink of an eye, leaving you feeling like nothing meaningful is happening, even though something profound is taking place beneath the surface. This is when many people instinctively cling even harder to what they know, seeking distractions and immersing themselves in work to avoid the discomfort. They push forward without asking too many questions, hoping the feeling will go away. But no matter how much you try to suppress it, that emptiness persists. The key in this moment is not to fight the discomfort, but to listen to it. Realize that this feeling of emotional fatigue and inner conflict is not a problem to be fixed, but a message, a signal that it's time to evolve. This is your inner voice calling you forward, telling you that you can't stay where you are. It's time to let go of fear, to surrender to the unknown, and to trust that even if you don't yet understand where you're headed, this process is leading you toward a truer, more authentic version of yourself. The second internal transformation is the breaking away from everything that once defined you. After that first inner shift, you start to sense that the things that used to define you no longer hold the same weight. The labels you once embraced, the roles you played, your social status, and even how you interacted with others suddenly begin to feel more like a cage than a truth. It's as if you're stepping outside of your own life, observing it from a completely new perspective. And from that place, you begin to see that many of the decisions you made along the way didn't actually come from your authentic self. They were shaped by the expectations of others and by subconscious programming you absorbed while growing up. This is a critical point in your personal evolution, the moment when the illusion begins to crumble. With that crumbling comes clarity. You might find yourself questioning your purpose in life, re-evaluating the dreams you've been chasing, only to discover that they no longer inspire you. Goals that once seemed so vital now feel hollow and disconnected from who you're becoming. This can feel disorienting, but it's important to understand this. What you're experiencing isn't a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. That uncertainty isn't a problem. It's an invitation, the doorway to uncovering what truly resonates with your inner self. This shift doesn't happen with a sudden dramatic event. It feels more like a slow erosion, something subtle that takes place within you little by little. Each day, a small part of your old self begins to fade. You might continue working the same job or spending time with the same people, but internally, something has shifted. That sense of security you once drew from these familiar aspects of life now feels foreign, like it no longer belongs to you. At this stage, many people report feeling an inner emptiness, a kind of identity void, as though they've lost their compass and are floating in the unknown. If you've ever felt this way, know this: you're not losing yourself. You are shedding an outdated version of who you once believed yourself to be. As this detachment from your former identity deepens, you begin to notice something remarkable. The things that used to trigger you no longer hold the same power. Other people's opinions, society's demands, or even your own internal pressure to succeed start to lose their grip. Your perception of the world begins to shift as well. Conversations you used to engage in now feel shallow. You realize that many of your interactions were driven by the desire to fit in, to play a character in a story you never wrote for yourself. During this phase, it's common to feel nostalgic for the person you used to be, for a time when you felt more certain of your identity. But you now realize that certainty was a comfort born of illusion. The discomfort you feel now isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's the space where something new, something more real can be born. Another sign of this inner shift is the fading importance of the roles that once gave your life meaning. You begin to ask yourself if any of your achievements or praise truly fulfilled you. And in the silence that follows, you hear an answer you've never allowed yourself to speak out loud before. You realize you were carrying dreams that weren't yours, chasing goals that didn't align with your soul, and living a life that didn't reflect your essence. And that realization brings grief, not for what you're losing, but for what was never real to begin with. You mourn the time you spent living someone else's version of your life. This is where many people are tempted to turn back and cling to the comfort of the known. But here lies your most important decision: to stay in the illusion or to step into the unknown. That feeling of emptiness is not a void. It's a sacred space, a clean canvas, the fertile soil where your truest self can finally grow. The third internal transformation is the uncontrollable need to find a deeper purpose. After you've questioned who you really are and stripped away the labels that once defined you, something inevitable begins to stir within. It's a deep and undeniable sensation of emptiness paired with an urgent need to discover something more meaningful. Simply existing no longer feels like enough. Going through the motions and chasing the goals society has handed you starts to feel hollow. This shift doesn't come from the mind or from logic. It emerges like a pulse you can't ignore, an inner calling that tugs at you at the most unexpected moments. Suddenly, the things that once seemed important, such as status and validation, lose their weight. In their place, a new longing is born, a desire to understand what truly drives you and what gives your life real meaning. Now you crave something more authentic, an honest connection between what you do, what you think, and what you offer to the world. This is often the moment when people embark on a deep personal quest for knowledge. You may find yourself drawn to books, philosophies, spirituality, and psychology subjects you never thought you'd explore. It's as if your mind is expanding, being pulled toward a new dimension. What's most fascinating is that while you're reaching outward, searching for answers, a subtle realization begins to take root. The answers aren't out there. They're within you. This need to find a deeper purpose isn't something you can switch off. It becomes a constant presence. You might find yourself oddly unsatisfied in situations that used to bring comfort. It's as if your inner world is demanding a shift, urging you toward change without providing a clear roadmap. Many people become discouraged at this point because they treat purpose like a destination. But the truth is, purpose isn't a single answer waiting to be found. It's a continuous unfolding. It's about learning to trust your intuition and to follow the signs the universe places before you. These aren't coincidences. They're signals. But here's the hardest part: patience. We want answers now, but true transformation doesn't obey our timelines. It requires that we release the urge to control and allow things to unfold naturally. Somewhere in the middle of this fog of uncertainty, a subtle but powerful feeling arises. Even if you don't have all the answers, there's a deep sense that you're exactly where you need to be. You start letting go of the desperate chase for an external purpose and begin connecting with what truly makes you feel alive. And when that happens, the answers begin to appear quietly, naturally, and without force. The fourth internal transformation is the disconnection from the past and old versions of yourself. As you move forward in this process, you begin to notice a natural distance growing between you and your past. It's not about forgetting what you've lived through, but about realizing that you're no longer the same person. The experiences that once defined your life now seem to belong to someone else. You can remember who you were, but that version no longer aligns with who you're becoming. Old wounds don't hurt in the same way anymore. It's as if a part of you is naturally releasing the weight of what you lived through, and the past no longer defines you. This disconnection also affects how you relate to others. Some friendships or relationships that were once essential now feel forced, not because of any visible conflict, but because you no longer share the same energy or interests. Yet the most curious part of this internal shift is that although it can bring nostalgia, it also carries a sense of liberation. For the first time, you feel the freedom to reinvent yourself, to choose your path without the weight of past influences. This disconnection from who you were isn't a loss. It's the opportunity to create something far more authentic. The fifth internal shift is heightened sensitivity and a stronger connection to your intuition. As you detach from the past, your intuition grows more powerful. You start to perceive the world in a deeper, more vivid way. You can sense the energy of a room and pick up on people's intentions without them speaking a word. At first, this sensory awakening can feel overwhelming, but soon you realize it's a gift. Your intuition becomes a trusted compass, guiding you toward what truly serves your growth and away from what no longer does. You stop relying solely on logic to make decisions and begin to trust your feelings. This is one of the clearest signs that you're going through a spiritual awakening. You no longer make choices based on fear or the need for external validation. You now follow a more authentic path, one guided by your own inner wisdom. At this point, you look back and realize how much you've changed. Life no longer feels like a loop of old patterns, but rather an open field of endless possibilities. This is the true essence of a spiritual rebirth. It's not about becoming someone new, but about remembering who you really are. The journey itself is the destination. We are here walking this path with you. This community exists to remind you that awakening doesn't have to be lonely. By sharing our stories, our questions, and our insights, we help each other remember what we already know deep down, that we are enough, that we are evolving, and that we are never truly alone. If you felt a connection with this message, consider staying with us. Subscribe to our channel for more content about spiritual awakening, personal growth, and the timeless teachings of Jung. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss what's coming next.